another trade expansion period was in the 18th century towards the 19th century in Zanzibar. This, especially here in Zanzibar, but also around the Indian Ocean, especially in the islands of the Union, as well as this demanded a number of laborers, a number of workers who were obtained in trade in the region. So afterwards, there was a series of prohibitions of slave trade, as well as slave status in Zanzibar. After that expansion, after that period of that massive expansion of trade, started to expand and demanded a lot of slaves. Here we have categories of slaves. We have domestic slaves. In Kiswahili we say watumwa wa nyumbani. And also we have plantation slaves, watumwa wa shamba, watumwa wa mashambani. We have skilled slaves, watumwa wenye ujuzi, which is combined with the sheep slaves as part of the skilled slaves. So we have these, or we had these 3 categories of slaves in Zanzibar. So the slaves that are not heavily documented or described of are the domestic slaves. And our concentration will be on domestic slaves and how they continued with their life after the emancipation. So domestic slaves in Zanzibar, these were slaves that mostly worked in the houses of their masters. So most of their work or their activities were done on the houses of their masters. These slaves included the slaves they included the eunuchs, the bodyguards, the soldiers, the shoppers, the readers. These readers were the slaves that they knew to read and write, so they were reading letters or whatever. Also we have cookers, cleaners, but also entertainers, slaves who were entertainers. We have also, either these were slaves that were keeping money from the owners. So there were slaves that were trusted with their masters to the extent that they were akhidas. They were trusted, or they were entrusted to keep the money of their slave owners. But we had also another kind of slaves, here as concubine, but these can be regarded as secondary wives and not concubines. So these were also other kinds or other types of slaves, but they were special category. A Surya who was a slave can be assisted by a slave. So let us now discuss the emancipation. Those treaties were signed by different sultans of Zanzibar from 1820, from 1820s up to 1873. The first treaty was signed between Sultan Said Said and the representative from the British. It was signed in 1922, and another treaty was signed in 1822, and another one was signed in 1845, and the last one was signed in 1873.
On those statistical terms. But this division is not the best possible division of the data. There are 18 random divisions that are better. So our would-be hypothesis is supported, and a normal statistical approach would support the validity of the LSA-MSA division. Our strong point of the hypothesis is not supported, it's not the absolute best division of the data. But we have to put in in that the model was able to get a low deviance, but none of them are archaeologically meaningful. And this is a really important point, that it's very useful for us to be able to apply statistics to archaeological samples, but we have to do so with a view to these post hoc tests. And we must be a bit cautious about their application, because ultimately what we're striving for is archaeologically meaningful. Now, concluding thoughts about this and further studies on the use of cultural taxonomy, or the study of cultural taxonomy in archaeology. There's been a lot of attention, but classification is essential to discussion. We can't analyse, we can't discuss patterns in the record without classification, without taxonomy. And as Felix Rieder put it, there's structure in the archaeological record. And abandoning taxonomies altogether would limit the types of questions that we can ask. I think this is a very important point that transcends this particular study. And our cultural taxonomies are largely heuristic devices, but they remain valuable. And these analyses should mean that allow them to firm up those taxonomies and to make them more concrete. But in the meantime, I think what we have, particularly in the case of the Middle and later Stone Age, and particularly in Eastern Africa where these data come from, is actually a pretty robust division in the data, which is at least archaeologically highly meaningful. So we just wanted to thank the organisers of the session at PANA, and also to thank the various anonymous reviewers who provided valuable commentaries on the papers we published on this work today. And thank you all for listening.
Thanks to Matt and Juba.
If you're very unfamiliar to hear about Mozambique in these kinds of events, the reason that Mozambique is important is because in between two larger important areas within the study of Stone Age and East Africa and also Southern Africa. And then if you look at the Rift Valley, it starts or ends in central Mozambique. So it's an area in between these two regions. This is what we have within southern Mozambique. We have a lot of sites related to the famous Shivumbazi rock shelter that David Peterson used to establish an installation around the river and ceramics. But also we have evidence of the latest Stone Age. This sort of conforms, this latest Stone Age conforms with what we see in other neighboring countries. South of the Zambezi River, it conforms with what we see in this country that I already mentioned, but on the northern section of the Zambezi River, traditional rock art type, but also on the northern section we have the geometric and red animal design. And these features on the rock art, are also related to the stone art. Why? Because this site was identified in 1947, and then in 1983, Leif Johnson, Swedish osteologist, and Leonardo Adamovich, Polish Mozambican archaeology, passed away 2 years ago, unfortunately. They started excavating the site, and then from the excavations, they identified early and middle Stone Age deposits, a large collection of LSA, and also a huge collection of faunal remains, and also 3 human skeletons. Unfortunately, this happened 40 years ago before I started my project, and no one knows where these human remains are. Apparently, they traveled between Sweden and Mozambique on a briefcase. They were sitting in someone's office in Uppsala, but we've been trying to look for these human remains. I've been trying to do that for the past 5 years, and so far I haven't managed to achieve any result yet. And then they also identified, this is the excavation layers from the 1983, and also the same excavation was extended in reopened and extended in 2007 by Professor Kjell Knudsen from Uppsala University. So he was there with Team Denmark, and then they reopened the excavation, and these are sort of the dates they uncovered from the 1983 excavation. They had plans to continue with the project, but unfortunately funding issues, the retirement of Shelton, and it all fell apart. So these are some of the artifacts that were part of the 1983, 84, and also the 2007 excavation, which includes mostly MSA and LSA artifacts.
The archaeological in situ occurrences, which are represented here by colored triangles, are found in the lower part of the sequence, in the BBS 2 and KGS 1 members. So here they are. In this lower part of the sequence, oldest site we have investigated, and resulting from obviously a strong washing out of the small sized component material for comparison. Same kind of situation, same kind of quick, sampling and collect of material. What is interesting is that we've been able to sample raw material provides the full range of raw material exploited by quartzite and quartz mainly. Occurrence, which is a younger site of the sequence, which is dated to around 150,000 and 2020. Over site on the top here is composed of a diversity of large cutting tools, including facial tips, dining rods, paper tools. The two more recent sites on the right here, at the basis of the KGS1 deposit and conglomerates and large cores. This is the main component of this assemblage, with several tens of large and dining cores on this site, and not much sections of some also dining cores, but mainly chopper cores and uni and back facial piece. The more diverse assemblage is the one activity inside. So here the main, I'm going to go into the details of this slide, as I'm going to detail now. And so the fact that we are showing extended in this part of the 150,000, and in the more recent exploration in the upper part of the site. And what needs to be investigated is the type of power L1, which corresponds to a rare occurrence, in fact, in the context of it's I wouldn't say it's a primary position, but it's kind of a primary position. The archaeological material was dated on the top of the CT deposit that correspond to the river bank context. And it has been covered by flow, by water flow deposits, by cement, of course, some, which cover the artifacts and which have also cemented the whole archaeological layer after the deposition. So this force of deposition by water flow are probably disturbing the assemblage, and also probably also evacuated the significant proportion of the small components. But still, the material is really not part of its primary position. So the excavated surface, as I told you, is like 60 square meter plus 2 meter small sampling area, which confirms that the extension of the sites, which cover much significant partly destroyed by sand parts. This is a view of the site topography and the archaeological material distribution. So the site is located on the eastern and western edges by Gurney you see on the vertical distribution, the material is distributed
and 7 pre-colonial sites. Early colonial sites are sites from this period, starting with the Portuguese era up until about what I'm calling start of the late colonial period around 1830, when there are dramatic transformations in the rural landscape. So this covers Portuguese as well as early colonialism. Really only 3 sites there, both in the early Portuguese period in the east region, and then there's this village of Juacu as well. I'm going to cover these as I go through the sites. And then most of the sites were from this late colonial period related to the global plantation system. And there were 2 intermediate sites. So I'm going to just go through some of the site types. So starting in this pre-colonial period, as I said, there were 7 pre-colonial sites that involved camping and cooking in these places while clearing the land and planting it. And my best guess is that the ceramics there represent that practice going back relatively far in time. Well, I'll talk about it as I go through. In the early colonial period, the site of Kandwi here is the one sort of larger, or still a small village site, probably from around here are more of these small ceramic fluted field scatters. And then Juacu is a village site that I think dates probably to formation because of the absence of all the kind of European and late Chinese locations for that. These are other examples here. I guess I'll skip through these again. Okay. So going into, there are also sites that are characterized as sort of small plantation estates with architecture, stone architecture. And then finally there's a site at the town of Chang, which is a very large site, the largest pre-colonial sites. So there's an interesting change in demographics and site size in this period. There are also, so there's 2 examples in the sort of fertile western areas where there's ceramic scatters probably related to agricultural land use. Sort of plantation estates, so the site of Figueira County has this stone feature here, which is pretty enigmatic. We show pictures of it more later. And Pennsylvania is another site as well, with stone features. It's still lived in today. And then finally, there's this town of Chani. So this sort of defeated our survey methodology a little bit. It's so big that it kind of crosses. So, but it's a huge artifact scatter throughout this whole town, and with subsurface deposits throughout the town. The ceramics able to towns not that big. There's lots of towns that spread out through the state and so on. So some social transfer. So European white waiters, polychrome white waiters, a large.
Called Ankolitae cattle that I have indicated in this slide. So when you look at what was happening in this area, there was also a king who was called King Indanga, was ruling in the Kalaba Kingdom, and he reigned from around 1820 until 1853. He is argued to have been a skilled blacksmith and said to have forged a large treasury of iron objects, including sculptures of cattle. And one of those sculptures of cattle is included here in this photograph. This is a display of Kalaba Kingdom, also Museum of Art in Iowa, University of Iowa, and these other ones are also called ceremonial iron anvil, and we can see that this is one that is found within the Uganda Kingdom, which is in this place called Busibazara Panga. This is where the kings are buried. These objects are argued to have been made by were responsible for the well-being of others that resided under their authority. The Kalaba Kingdom is a good, and the king is seen to have ritual powers to ensure fertility and productivity of his people. For example, in order to practice agriculture and also to ensure that the state was functioning as the Rock Act. I'm trying to see whether the linguistic evidence, the oral traditions, the archaeological evidence, how do they fit and help in understanding what is happening in these paintings. So I thought that yes, I would agree with the suggestion that perhaps this is cattle, and if the king is, or the chief is the leader of the people, and perhaps these central figures are talking about the centrality of, and that these images are made in celebrating that role of the chief as leader. But also, since these metal objects are used to fertilize the land and fertilize the cattle, this would also perhaps be the reason why some of them, especially the central figures like this one, are mainly uses. So here you can see a concentration of images. The chief, I'm not really sure, but I'm also not sure what these dots signify, but this is one of the suggestions that are, floating in my mind. Things larger images, smaller images. Some of the images and some of the sites are quite big, as you can see, with emphasis on whether this is a tail or a valid image, if it is symbolizing cattle. Whether these are also the male-female narrative being considered in these paintings, especially since male and female gender, where the female are associated with fertility and fecundity, and the cow are celebrated as
strategy shows itself as a hiatus within the sequence of pottery styles in the Congo Basin, seen on the left here. Each bar represents a temporal process of multiple subsequent pottery styles end. This process is also discernible in the tide slice maps on the right. Starting with the important Mbonga style in the Congo Basin, an expansion can be observed, followed by a considerable decline of sites with pottery finds and a newly Ikonomona style, the earliest pottery to be found in the western Congo Basin. Remember the archaeology of the northwestern Congo Basin, in that a settlement shows of 122 sites in an area of about 500 to 600 kilometers. I want to focus on the Ikonomona style. It is the main pottery style pertaining to the early Iron Age in the western parts of the Congo Basin. It is found in an area of about 300 to 150 kilometers along the river Sanga and the Kwaloza. The main characteristic of the Ikonomona pottery are its wide, open-mouthed folds with approximately parallel sides, flare rims, and rounded bases. The general ornament scheme is based shows similarities to the contemporaneous groups in the inner Congo Basin. The present information point toward the interpretation of the Ikonomona style had its origin either in the Equator tradition of the inner Congo Basin or the Ngoko tradition entering from southeast Cameroon. One of which dated into the 4th century BCE to the 3rd century CE, while the second one was considerably younger. Both inventories are internally homogeneous, but in all aspects different when compared to each other. As an example, the older recently started reconstructing the repertoire of these ceramics. The main focus now lies in using primary and secondary shaping techniques, both being central aspects in reconstructing repertoires. This is the first overview of the Eastern Congo Basin yielded data on shaping techniques. Marked, you can see the Ikonomona group dating into the early Iron Age. One shaping technique in that group is the analogous to the drawing of the rim technique. Macro traces pointing to this are only present in diagonal fissures and cracks, as well as finely and more parallel laid layering the breaks. In some cases, vessel also shows singular vertical fissures indicating the joining of a ring. This indicates that the ring was not shaped by piercing of the cone, like the modern Protestant hang on the roof do, but by forming a ring from an initial big coil. There seems to be some variation in terms of how the bases are joined. Some vessels show that the base must have been shaped separately and fitted over the upper part, but there are equally strong cases in which the bases seem to be simply plugged. Comparing what we know from the Pronovomer group to the oldest ceramic from the adjacent in general, it is striking that the shaping techniques are similar to earlier. All younger pottery groups show clear stylistic indications of strong connections to the inner Congo basin. Thus, it is likely that they were, but photos in this study have not been
colonial periods. Umtoti ruins, Marklebi Palace, the Persian baths, and the prison island were all mentioned. Yet many others were ecological features, such as Jozani, wine growth forests, Zanzibar butterfly parks, Kijiji spice parks, or numerous beaches. This experience Zanzibar through a combination of historical and heritage may be construed in both the popular imagination and increasingly in the academic literature. The vision of heritage perpetuated in Zanzibar draws particularly on the 19th century, when Zanzibar was under Omani control, with significant immigration from many other parts of the world, including mainland Africa and India, which emphasizes Zanzibar's long history of connectivity with the Indian Ocean world. While Zanzibar's Department of Antiquities and Museums have a broad remit from the late Stone Age site at Kumbi Cave, the data from our survey suggests an awareness of and visits to Zanzibar's heritage, Marklebi Palace and the Palace Museum.
It was clear that the vocabulary of colonialism was not entirely appropriate. In fact,
Khoikhwadi people that came, and then when they came down, they had a lot of mixtures with some people, etc. And then when we get to when Jan van Riebeeck met them in the Cape, those Khoikhoi people, we're not so sure if those people were the same people that entered 2,000 years ago, because that image that the Dutch saw might not have been the material culture, the huge birds. We don't find that in the archaeological record. So anyway, so let's go back to the rock art, otherwise talking about geology and material culture. So there was this watershed study in 2004 with Smith and Woosman. They surveyed about 900,000 square kilometers. I don't know if they actually surveyed or just looked at site. Literature survey, about 3,000 from and ending in the Western Cape. And from that, they also found evidence of dates of some flake stars that had geometric images on them at 1,450 to 500 BP in the central Karoo of Samson's work there, and then they think that about 400 AD there. So these dates they put together, and importantly for this talk, handprints were associated with one of their motifs. So handprints were associated with Khoi herders in this whole migration. And it's in the central Limpopo Basin, but then they became more prevalent when you get to places like the Southern Cape and the Western Cape. And that's where you get more, like the Cederberg, I'm sure if some of you have seen those handprints in Cederberg. They also think that handprints became more prevalent when Khoi people interacted with San people as well. But this association between handprints and Khoi is something that we find quite troubling. Okay, so yeah, just also geometric rock art, so many years has argued that we can't really assign this authorship to one people. And when in his talks, it's much more to do with the landscape and about Poisson beliefs in general. Okay, so Smith and Osman did this whole study, and they came up with these ideas that Coy rock art also had specific.
Retain, for the time being, the know-how of shaping the other types, which they produce exceptionally. Regarding market demands, it seems possible to predict the near future disappearance. 3 types are irregularly produced, Kele, Ubura, and Disti, which are more in demand at Christmas and Easter. 2 types are now produced only very rarely, the Melfi, because those produced by the Walaita and Sidama are preferred. The larger Okote called Waba have been largely replaced by jerry cans and other plastic containers. They are now only produced on order. One way to document disappeared types was to ask to review all the clay materials that can be found in different houses. Like that, we produced. That was a coffee pot, but different of the Jabana, the opening of the neck is wider, used to prepare an infusion of coffee leaves with other medicinal plants. The spread of powdered coffee preparation practice imported from the north can be the reason for. Another example, in Mogomojima, people were worshipping spirits in using Jabana with specific decoration. The new expectation from Muslim communities lead to the end of this practice. This is also true for the largest jar used to store beer. In the Museum of Jima are displayed some potteries produced in the 60s. They are currently absent from the memory of young generation. In the case of the drinking vessel, it is not the habit of drinking which disappeared, but the trick is to study the historical ethnographic collection. In this respect, the treasure trove of information is the collection of the Cape Henry Museum, particularly the collection of Paul Soleillet. Paul Soleillet, the commercial explorer, was characterized by this curiosity. His closeness story made by Paul Soleillet and the description of his collection to be given to museum is exceptional. The original approach that this explorer developed is unquestionable, and it is in the light of the collection of pottery that we can better see all the care and ingenuity deployed. This collection consists of 55. The complete collection weighed only about 17 kilos and was unique for its time. Despite its uniqueness, this collection never exhibited to the public. However, it was the subject of a partial publication in 1909 in the work of Jean-Duchesne Fournet. Thanks to some indication and knowing that Soleillet stayed a long time in Vancouver, we took the road to the monastery of Mentec. There, the pottery community interviewed has no idea of this miniaturization, which is not part of their activity. However, these 55 miniature potteries documenting the typo-functional diversity a century ago stone to stage the contemporary transformation of the typomorphology. The original information reports 35 different names of pottery, and if some names are repeated, not one form is identical. This shows the richness of the ceramic corpus in this region of Ethiopia. In relation to what we have documented of the current typological diversity and following a long conversation with Fesses and the other potters of Mentec Monastery, we notice, first, from the point of view of naming, in general, the vocabulary becomes poor. Second, from the typological point of view, production of cups, lamps, pots for storing dry goods, closed chests, and pots for body hygiene has ceased. Some forms of cooking pots have also disappeared. Enna, the brasero, a very common piece of pottery today, doesn't appear in this collection, as it might not exist at that time. Although the production is rapidly decreasing, the diversity of names disappeared, and with it, the variability of forms. The main part of the functional typological repertory of ceramic has generally been in the field of archaeology. In most of the existing in the current repertory, and so many hypotheses have been raised about the function of this pot. Now, comparing with this type of disappeared parfum burner from the Paul Soleillet collection, thank you very much for your attention.
Property values, acknowledging that there are key values recognised within the statement of outstanding universal value. We draw upon climate and societies, and so we need to work together with people who know them, but that also includes members of the community associated with the properties. I think we may have lost Lism. I think I'm going to focus on just trying to advance my presentation. We have drawn upon a pre-existing vulnerability framework. This was used in the 3rd and 4th assessment reports by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and in our experience is the preferred framework used by vulnerability practitioners around the world. We modified this to make it World Heritage-y. That's a technical term. So within this, we replace the vulnerability with the vulnerability of the values described within the Statement of Outstanding Universal Value. We look at terms of exposure, sensitivity, and adaptive capacity, and we use those to filter through the framework. But we build upon this by adding in some modifiers within those assessments of exposure, sensitivity, and adaptive capacity. So we've taken a good idea and we think we've stepped it forwards for the application of heritage. What would the impact be of those declines? So we take the same 5-box framework and move it down, and repeatability becomes the exposure term in the second part of the framework. Collectively, we call this the CVI. It's values-based. We use the foundational document for World Heritage Properties, the Statement of OUV, and also be used for this purpose. We identify what we call the key values. However, we also recognise that statements of OUV do not contain all of the values. They're the regional or national or even international values that aren't at the UNESCO World Heritage level, but are certainly still important. We work together with the practitioners and the communities to identify these, document them, record them, because the other significant property values. To give you some examples, we used excerpts from the Statement of OUV for the Sukur Cultural Landscape World Heritage Property in northeastern Nigeria. And this led us to these 6 overarching key values that we used as part of the foundation for the CVI approach. Similarly, across the way and down the road at Kilwa Kiswani, the ruins of Kilwa Kiswani and the ruins of Sono Manara, World Heritage Property, described within the document, distilled into workable connections. That term there, we have developed a list of 15 climate stresses that we consider too many issues from ice change or glaciers. Same in Australia, except for a couple of small parts. And you can correct me if I've got my geographical perceptions wrong there. Certainly not here in Zanzibar. But there are other sections.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone who has been able to wait until this last minute for the business meeting.
I didn't know what, did you add that amendment? I think that we need also to rethink our voting system. because this is more members that we have, and people should be allowed to. What maybe you should think of another way that could be something with the amendments.
Yeah. It's been a very hectic week, but good news is that we are still here. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, it's been a very hectic week, but it's good that we are still here, all of us, the ones that have been able to make it. Thank you so much. We'll try to make it a very short meeting so that people can go out and do other things. Today being the last day, as always, is the business meeting. And before we can go to our usual schedule, first let us remember our colleagues and members of PAA who have passed away in the last 4 years. That is between the last time that we were in Rabat and this time when we are here. I'll just read their names, and please excuse me if I don't pronounce some names very well. It's not, if I don't pronounce well, you just excuse me. Okay, so Leonardo Adamovich, Eve Coppens, Manad Dembele, Alain Gale, Harold Dibo, Abdullahi Akon, Kamoya Kimeu, Bill Kimbo, Richard Leakey, Ipena Monaghan, Dennis Nesezete, Tom Huffman, Franz Prince, Mausa So, Anthony Duarte, Isaiah Nengo, Revo Mason, James Brink, Edwin Anisha, Yvonne Brink. Please, let's stand and observe a moment of silence in their honor. Thank you. So to go back to our agenda for this afternoon, we have 4 things or 5 things that we will need to discuss. It's not projected. But we have, first we'll have a report, a short report from the local organizing committee. Then we'll have the executive report. We will then have financial report. Then we'll have elections, and then presentation of the venue for the next Congress. Also, we have a few issues that we would want to bring forward that we think should be discussed probably in the next meeting for amendment of the Constitution. So we'll be talking about this shortly. So I'll invite Dr. Ichubaki to give us a short report of the organization.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Council, professors, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, just a very brief of a review of our organization and what we have done and how far we have achieved and what we think are key with regards to this 16th Congress. And as you can remember, the nomination for Tanzania to be the host of the 16th Congress was done in Rabat, Morocco during the 15th Congress. And I was personally nominated to become the chair of the local organizing committee. And therefore I formed the local organizing committee, which involved the members from Tanzania across the country, both Tanzania mainland and Zanzibar. And we came up with a theme for the 16th Congress, which you can all remember. And we called for abstracts, whereby over 500 abstracts were submitted to be part of the 16th Congress. And the scientific committee reviewed and approved 403 abstracts, which we have in the book of abstracts. We provided it to you. And we had a deadline of April, but there were some acceptance of the people who came in as late registration members, and a total of 274 have participated in the 16th Congress so far, presenting their papers either in person or recorded. The conference began with a week students training, where students from Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Senegal, Benin, Morocco, Ethiopia, and Nigeria got the opportunity to attend the training that was facilitated by editors of the main African archaeology journals and senior colleagues who took the students through that writing. The informal agreement between we as local organizing committee and the PhD students that were funded and supported to come to attend the meeting is to develop a manuscript that will be published in one of the journals talking about African archaeology and heritage. I am happy to report to you that among the 10 PhD students that were trained, or recruited, within the past 4 months since we started discussions, they already have drafts of their manuscripts, which will need to be reviewed and revised, ready for publication. For us, that is a great achievement which we put forward and suggest that this should be a culture to be developed in the next congresses, regardless of where they are being held. Another issue which is very critical to report to you is that among the fee that we put forward for the members was meant to stimulate the payment of the membership fee. And I am happy to report to you that 174 members have paid their annual subscription fee, and we will make that transfer to the respective PAA bank account. The final issue which I want to bring forward to you with regards to the Congress is the number of abstracts that were submitted, accepted, and the authors of those abstracts could not show up and could not send any information as to why they couldn't make it. For us, that was a major disappointment, which we think all of us need to reflect into it and see how it works. It was a quite laboring work to arrange the schedule, and any change of one contribution, it takes a lot of time to come back to order. So it would be a good idea that people inform the organizers in advance if they are coming or they are not coming, unless there is an issue which you can't avoid. So we accept the apologies of many people who could not make it because of unavoidable circumstances, but we regret to those members who could not give information and could not say anything with regards to attending this particular conference. And finally is the appreciation to many of the people who supported and made this conference a success to other members. And I recognize the support we got from two institutions which enabled us top up to support the students. And these are the British Institute in Eastern Africa, which supported 4 students from 1 East, 1 South, 1 North, and 1 West Africa, to make sure that we are representative of all those students. That was a wonderful support. Please clap hands for the British Institute. I also recognize the support from EVEA International. This is a French company which supported 3 students from the French-speaking countries to come and participate into this particular congress. And may I recognize the presence of these 3 students from the French-speaking countries, Gafaru from Benin, could you please stand up? That's a big student. And Aissata from Senegal. Aissata from Senegal. We thank EVEA International for supporting those students. We also thank very much Wena Green Foundation for covering costs for some students and for some of the activities that we have been doing in here. And the University of Dar es Salaam, as I said, reduced my teaching, contributed to printing of the book of abstract which we have. So we are very thankful to all of them. And the final on the list, but not to the importance of on those I wanted to mention and thank, is the museum here in Zanzibar. All the activities that we have been doing in here, bringing in the government, making sure that we are getting some colleagues from the big offices to come and officiate our meeting, was done in collaboration with the director of the museum. So may I recognize the presence of Mariam. Please, a round of applause to her. And I am informed just finally that we will have somebody from the government to postpone our meeting, but also join us during dinner. And that is the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism from the mainland, who will be joined by the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Tourism and Heritage from here, Zanzibar. So we thank all those people for the very good job done. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hichobaki, and thank you, everyone. I think I'll start also by acknowledging and thanking all those people who have made this conference a success. And I'll start with the local committee, which was led by Dr. Hichobaki. They have done a great job. I think we should clap for them. I'll just ask the President, I think I should also thank all the institutions that have just been mentioned by Hichobaki right now. starting with State University of Zanzibar, British Institute, EVER, Wenagren, University of Dar es Salaam, and Museum of Zanzibar. Thank you so, so much for all the help that you've given us. Can we clap for them also? Excellent. So now I'll just go straight to the report. First, I would want to remind you of the members of executive team or council. So Frida Kirote, my name, president. Vice was Ibrahima Viwa, who most of you knew or know very well. Organizing secretary Helen Tipuko Kenon. Treasurer Wasi Apu, who is sitting here also. Other board members, we had student representatives, Mauna Kazi from Morocco, North Africa represented by Latifa Sari, and Idri Amara from Tunisia. South Africa, Sam Chalis. East Africa, Ioannas Beyen. West Africa, Foniama Biombiano. And of course, the Congress Secretary, Itumbaki Iquidies. Some of the things that we've done, we've had a few meetings since since we took over the office. And we came up with 2 committees, one committee for heritage and conservation, and another committee for ethics, and another committee, of course, for the local team. The committees, some of them have done some very good work, and I want to mention that we've been able to intervene in a few matters, and I see Jackie coming in, but one of the matters was about Kibiro salt site, archaeological site, which we had to write letters to make sure that it's not spoiled, and we worked with Jackie and other members of our team from Uganda. So far it's going well, as I've heard from Jackie. I've been talking with her. Also, we participated in things like Black Lives Matter. Some of you saw our statement because we thought, as an African institution, and people who are directly sometimes impacted by what is happening around the world, it's actually up to us to be able to have a voice. And so we did that as well. We were not able to, as an association, to write one single letter for whatever is happening in Ethiopia, Tigray. And I think there was a bit of criticism about that because we didn't do it, but there are some things that we felt, with all the members' blessings, it's not good to be involved. But we circulated a letter that had been written for people to sign because we thought it was a very good thing for people who are dealing with the heritage to be able to say something about it. Moving on about our website, emails, and Facebook, we had to move the website from South Africa. It was hosted by, in South Africa, and it was becoming very expensive, especially when the amount of money that was paid before, during the conference of 2014. When that money ended, then we were not able to continue paying because the accounts that we inherited didn't have anything. So we had to move it from there, and we had to get another host from Kenya. to be able to have our websites. So that was moved to Kenya, and we had help from people from Kenya to do that. Of course, as I've mentioned, we had a lot of financial challenges, as we haven't been able to inherit anything from any conference. From the website, we were able to create emails. As you already saw, these are the emails that we were using to communicate to members. There is also a Facebook account which is active, and also a Twitter account is also active. Then we were also able to register the organization. This organization has been in place since 1947, and I was very surprised when I took over as the president to learn that it was never registered. So we were operating on, I think, without having any proper registration. And as you've seen from our constitution, for those people who have seen, the permanent secretariat is based in Senegal, but they were not able to register the organization in Senegal because the authorities there required that the officials go there in person to do that. So that was very difficult because we couldn't raise the funds to do that. And for us to move on without of trying from any other country, and we tried with Kenya, and that worked. So we were able to register it, and it was registered in Kenya. We also opened an account, and the account is opened, we used EcoBank, which is an African regional bank. So anyone taking over can be able to transact within Africa. So EcoBank is it's a universal account that can be used, a bank that can be used by any country within Africa. Thank you. Then from there we started the membership drive, which also became a challenge in terms of payments. A lot of people are complaining that they were not able to register or to pay for the membership. This is because we used a QR, which I was advised by the bank would be the cheapest way of doing it. Because when people pay through other means, then there are a lot of bank charges, and at the end of the day, we get very little for the organization. But the QR also didn't work with many people, so this is something else that we have to think about in terms of how this is going to be done. We've had suggestions from people that maybe we should have savings account instead of current account. But these are things that we have to look into to see which is easier and how this is going to work. So for membership, we have honorary, we have ordinary and student membership. And if you still have your constitution, you can look at it and see how that is working or how it should work. With the emails that I talked about, we were able, of course, to circulate a lot of information using the PANAF email. We've also tried to have collaborations and interventions from other institutions, and one of them I can mention, it's Sapiens. And they wanted actually to have workshops. We saw that we sent emails asking people to register because they wanted to train people on how to write for non-academic organizations or public. I don't know if people registered or what happened. Then we also had this brainstorming workshop with UNESCO where we sent Dr. Itubaki to represent PANAF, and he did it very well. We've also joined the Archaeological Action Network, and I'll not tell you what this is about, but you can Google and find, but we are part of that where people can voice their ideas and things that they can be circulated to everyone. We are also part of Society for American Archaeologists, and they asked me a lot of times because they wanted us to be part of the ethics committee. And I thought this was going to be very useful for our own ethics to see what everyone else is doing. So I was part of that. We also joined coalition of Archaeological Synthesis Initiative, which a lot of you might know about. And also that you can find from the website, what it is. Our statistics from Facebook show that we have 1,233 members, and I'm not projecting, but I could have showed you who is there in terms of percentages and views, women, men, but that is a very good number. And then for Twitter, we have over 600 people. So we've done what we could during the period that we've been given this office. And I must also thank some of the members of PANAF who have really tried to help us to carry our agenda forward. And I want to recognize actually Dr. John Giblin. He gave us the first draft of our ethics document, which is still under assessment. And I think even the next office, the office bearers who take over should work on it and see how it can be improved, and then it can be used going forward. Some of the things that we thought we need to change or to add to the Constitution is, one of them is about having a permanent, or not a permanent, but having a seat in the council for the secretariat, a member of the secretariat. We also thought about elections, that people should be allowed to vote by proxy. And also, we should think in terms of how about nominations and all that, because we've been doing this on the floor. And the reason we've been doing it on the floor is because there wasn't a good list of members. As I've just said, we didn't have any enough members. So you couldn't send an email to everyone saying nominate people. They are not members. So from now on, I think after this, because now we have a long list of members who are paid up, we are going to do things in a different way. So the Constitution demands that we have at least 6 months for anything to be changed. So it should be circulated to the members. They can think through it and give feedback so that it can be considered for inclusion in the Constitution. So should anyone have anything that they want to see changed from the Constitution, please feel free to talk to send it to the Secretariat, and then they can circulate it so that it can be considered. Because also the Constitution is quite new. It was passed during Rabat, and so we expect that a lot of changes will take place. So as this takes place, we should try to work better to make it better as we move on. Thank you very much. I don't know if there is any questions before we move to the next item in the agenda. Okay, thank you very much. So our next item in the agenda is the report by our treasurer.
Thank you, Madam President, and greetings to members. So my name is Professor Wazi Apple, the treasurer of PANAF. I would like to start by saying that when we took over this administration in Morocco, we thought as heritage professionals were going to inherit some financial sort of stability from the previous administration. But as fate may have it, we didn't receive any funding from Rabat, meaning that we lost track of that heritage of passing on financial sort of resources to the next generation. So we also tried to find out from the 14th Congress in South Africa whether they had some reserved money from paid members. Unfortunately, we didn't get any positive response from them. So it means that no inheritance from the 14th Congress, no financial inheritance from the 15th Congress. So we started on a zero bank account. But through the hard-working effort of the president, we were able to initiate some activities which he pointed out, including opening a bank account, also registering the association, also creating a website, which all required administrative costs. So you could see how we were able to volunteer funds and work. We had resources to achieve those. But we didn't want to pass on the baton to the next group without any inheritance. So through the initiative of this administration and the hard-working effort of the local organizing team, we've been able to raise money from paid-up members. We now have a secure database of paid-up members, and based on what we got from the LOC, there are 174 ordinary members that have paid. And so we do have in our coffers today $3,747 $93. So we are of the hope that the next administration will have some inheritance to work with, and will also learn from this and be able to raise and pass on good inheritance to the successive administrators. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you so much, Professor Wazi. So moving, unless anyone has a question to Wazi? No, okay. So moving on, I think now we'll move to the next item in the agenda, which is elections. And there are offices that are open, which I'm going to mention. Okay, I've just been reminded by Dr. Kibaki, which is very good actually, that we should have the presentation first before the elections. So we would like to ask that if anyone has any ideas what they would want to have the next meeting to be, please feel free to bring it up. So that it can be discussed, or people can think about it. But we've had a request from first of all from Mozambique, and so we would like to invite them to make a presentation for everyone to see.
In Mozambique, I am still until now the co-eye of the Rising from the Deaf, but it is over, even if we are still having some activities. And I am also, at the moment, the director of the Museum of Archaeology at the University, Eduardo Mongani, and also the director of the Center for Archaeology and Resource at Mozambique Island. So it was really with great satisfaction when I was approached in order to try if Mozambique would be able to accommodate the next conference of the Pan-African Association of Archaeology. And of course, I accepted immediately. And the next step was to consult the stakeholders in Mozambique and some of the people who have the voice to decide about that. So immediately I received the response, which was positive. So they were even very happy and thanked me also for having made it possible. Because it will be for the first time that Mozambique will be known in the world that is accommodating such an important event. We never were involved in these events, and I know the main reason is the language, English barrier, because we speak in Portuguese. So we were not seen like people capable of handling things like that. But in fact, we are doing things, and in Mozambique we are doing a lot of archaeology. We have now a course of archaeology and heritage management, which is going on, and we have now trained about, let's say, around 100 archaeologists and heritage managers in Mozambique. So I think we feel really capable of handling this issue. Sorry, could you go up to again? Yes, I would like also to mention that we are not alone. A number of institutions working with us in Mozambique. Eduardo Mongani has a number of partners. I would mention firstly Fundação José Ibrahim Abud, which is a new one that was built by our colleague Elena. And we also mention here the Rising from the Deaf that I have mentioned. Thanks to them, it was possible for me also to travel to here. And we have also Professor Paul Lane sitting here, who is advising all the time from the University of Cambridge. We have also the Henkel Foundation in Mozambique working for the national park that we are preparing now, which is an archaeological and biocultural heritage park. And we have another association which is also working from in some excavations related to human evolution in Mozambique, this long name, and of course, obviously, I could not forget Uppsala University, where I had my PhD. So we have been working hard since last time to prepare this case. Myself, Elena, she's sitting here. Cesar Mauman is a PhD student, and also Cecilin, all them from Mozambique. But we also had the help of who is sitting here, our colleague Dio is sitting here, also helped a lot, and Desi Muyanga, who is not here. Also, we're happy to collaborate and write this piece of case that we are presenting here. Please, another section. So, we are addressing here the aims of the PANAF, which are to bring together prehistorians, but we are addressing the aims of the PANAF, which are to bring together prehistorians, paleontologists, and geologists from one end of the continent to the other. I think you can go under. So we have one of the major projects running on in Mozambique which involves scholars mainly from Oxford, University of Oxford, and Portugal, is led by Dr. Susana Tavares, which is the Gorgonzola Paleoprimate project about paleontology, geology, and primatology. Is one of the biggest projects we have, and the Stone Age one at China in Masingiri is also very important, bringing more results about Stone Age and human evolution. And the one which I am leading now is the Shongwen Biocultural Heritage Park, which is related to shell maintenance and ecosystem preservation. Yes. And Mozambique Island, as you know, we've got one site which is listed in the World Heritage list as the World Cultural World Heritage Site, starting from 91. Where we have historical buildings. This is the major attraction, but also underwater archaeology is having a big importance. Unfortunately, we had big problems in the past with treasure hunters, but now they are sorted out. Thanks to cooperation of the George Washington University, the project which is called the Slavery Project, and Edward Mungai University for sure, and also recently the Rising from the Depths also gave a significant contribution towards the discussion of a new way of addressing the issue, focusing on communities. So also we have the Unwashed Cultural Heritage Protection and Preservation Project in Nampula province. We have also this Mozambique Island Historical Indian Ocean Slave Trade Resource Group that I mentioned before. And we have in Nyambane, the province where we hope to have hold this conference. Vilankulu is in Nyambane province. So the Nyambane province itself has a number of archaeological sites. And more precisely, we have a lot of shell maidens along the coast, and the most recent ones are here indicated. Yeah. Shibwen is the most well-known archaeological site, first investigated by Professor Paul Sinclair, and later by Professor Nelly F. Brown and other people. So you can see great material exhibited here, like glass beads. This is the most important evidence of long-distance trade we have in southern Mozambique from the shell maiden of Shibwen. So in the Vilankulu district. Next. So this district also we have the insular sites of Bazaru, which apart from the archaeological evidence, the place of itself has been considered to be one of the best in Mozambique in terms of tourism and in terms of natural values that are related to natural and cultural marine heritage. In 2000, very recently, in last year, we had the Bolongo Group International Conference, and according to my colleague in Mozambique, who is the director, in fact, he's not my colleague, but he was before when I was in the ministry, so he is now the director for culture and tourism in the province of Mozambique, of Nyambane, where Vilankulu is located. So he told me that they were able to accommodate 900 people sitting there for this conference, and the other way attending remotely. Next. So where are we going, or what we can offer in terms of accommodation in case if Mozambique succeeds to host this meeting? So we have this UAM, which is EMU, Edward Mungai University, Rural Development and Agriculture School, we have this very famous Donna Anna and other hotels for dinners. I was told about 127 or 27 hotels are here, over 136 hotels for conference guests. And we have also the new Vilankulo Conference Center for breakout sessions, student mixer events, and more. So, in terms of accessibility, we are happy that it is possible to connect to Vilankulo flying, even from Johannesburg, and also from Maputo directly. So there is no need to stop. You can fly directly from Maputo Airport, and I am sure also from Johannesburg to Vilankulo. So we have the international airport, which allows so easy access to venues from all across Africa. Walking distance and safe environment between proposed venues promote ease of attendance. Driving is an option with stops at local heritage sites. One of them I have already mentioned, which is the Shangwan Mission Meetings. And centrally, Vilankulo is also centrally located, which makes the post-Congress field trips more convenient, such as day trips to Bazaru Dune, as I said, where there is a site complex of archaeological sites, from, I think they are from the Bogomere Ziwa tradition. In Yambani Bay meeting sites, Shibwembe in Costa site, with connection to the Swahili world, as we know. They have got this triangular incised way, and Manicae Zimbabwe type site, which has connection to Great Zimbabwe. So, benefit to Mozambique. There are many benefits, and they have already mentioned one of them, which is prestige. We are proud of that, and I am sure if I bring this news in Mozambique, everyone will really appreciate very much. In addition to supporting the local trade economy in Vilankulo, hosting the conference in Mozambique will bring visibility to the importance of archaeological site preservation and heritage management. So thank you for considering our case. We hope to welcome you to Vilankulo, Mozambique. Thank you, Diogo Taylor, he is here, and Desi Muyanga, for collaborating to the Nyamba Provincial Director of Culture and Tourism for welcoming the Pan-African Archaeological Association to Vilankulo in 2025. Thank you. I also would like to thank Elena. She helped me a lot in writing in good English, so that there is not many mistakes. So thanks to Elena again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanaj. Does anyone have a question? Yes, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, President Sanaj. Thank you very much for that excellent presentation. I just noted the date, August 2025. And we should be aware that the next SAFA is taking place next year. And so that would actually make that the most have falling quite possibly in the same year for a SAFA conference. It might be wiser to look at 2026, give you an additional year of funding. But obviously I don't want to intervene. Still have to vote on.
Thank you so much, Paul. I think that was a typo. 26.
26. Okay.
Any other comment or? Okay, thank you.
We need to go for dinner. The dinner begins at 7, so we need to be there around that particular time. And we have organized transport from 2 localities. The bus will be here at 6:30. We will be here from 6:30. And 2 buses will be in front of the old fort. And they will also leave there at around the same time, 6:30. So we request those who are interested and they signed up to go to dinner, be here or at the old fort, in front of the old fort at 6:30, and the dinner will be at Madinat Hotel. I see a hand there. Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to ask for the buses return from.
Yes, that's a go and return. So they will go and then come back to where the trip will begin from.
And what time?
The dinner ends at 9. So that should be the time to do. So that's the first announcement. The second announcement is about publication of the proceedings that organizers of the sessions we have been in contact, and they are very happy to publish their papers in the form of either edited volumes or special issue. And we have talked with some of the editors of the journal, and they are happy, the chairs of those sessions, to be invited or guest editors of those respective journals. So I strongly encourage all of you to think of advancing and rewriting your paper and making it a publishable one. And we will be communicating this much more broadly in the due course. The third announcement is about the Twitter, Facebook account Madam President talked about. We very much thank people who have been tweeting and giving some more information. So we encourage you to continue, because we have quite a lot of information from these social media accounts. And we request you, when you tweet, just hashtag PAA 2022, PAA in Zanzibar, or PAA as much as you want. And so we will be circulating hundreds, if not thousands, of your photos to the email. So we have created a Google Drive with all these photos. We will circulate them. And because we have so far a consent for all of you, we will also use the photos to tweet and Facebook as much as possible. But if you are not interested, I think you will send the form where you will say, I don't want my photo to be circulated. We will comply accordingly. The last announcement, we will request you to spend a few minutes to review what has been going on. I think, as I said in the communications area, I said we have recruited a bunch of people with cameras and all that. Although many of the things have been going on live through the Facebook and the social media of the State University of Zanzibar, we have created a few minutes video clips which showcases what we have been doing, and I will request those whom we have been doing that to project that for the case. And then the last announcement, which we follow after the preview of the video, is provision of awards and recognition of some key people who have done tremendous job in enhancing and promoting the archaeology of Tanzania. So we, as the rock organizing committee, we decided to recognize and honor some of our colleagues who have been doing a great job in terms of research, training, and knowledge sharing between the global north and the global south, but mainly considering Tanzania as their country of interest. So we will begin with that one, preview, and then we will come to the awards. And I request the Madam Chair and the Vice President to present those awards when the time comes to the respective people. We will mention it.
This is to discover that to do significant research, you have to go beyond the, at that time, colonial border. But now, doesn't make any sense. This Congress, away back, has a broad participants from all over Africa. And as such, it is a big gathering of very many people. It is normally difficult to organize because there are so many participants. But the organizers have done a wonderful job. So, as far as I'm concerned, it has been a success.
Your Excellencies have invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure that I welcome you to the PAA 6th Congress, which will run up to the 12th of this morning. Today we mark the 75th birthday or the Diamond Jubilee of Pan-African Archaeological Association of History and Related Studies, PAA. Since its inception, PAA meetings have been held in various countries within Africa, including Kenya, Algeria, Zambia, DRC Congo, Canary Islands, Senegal, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Mali, Botswana, South Africa, Morocco, and now Zanzibar.
Honorable President, as the chair of the Rock Organizing Committee about trust and responsible events in help and in city events in consequently, we expect the knowledge that is in the long-term relationship between
Yes, greetings from His Excellency, Dr. President, and President Dr. Actually, I said in here on this behalf, he accepted your invitation to attend this
I really enjoyed coming to PAA, mostly because it's my first in-person conference in such a long time, and there's a lot of people that I work with, and friends in the archaeology field that I haven't seen in a very long time, and so it's been amazing to see all the research that's happening.
Good to be at the Congress. Enjoying me and weather. We from South Africa, so it's winter and cold. It's really nice warm weather. I'm enjoying the Congress. Enjoying the presentation. Just wish there were more. This is one of the first times in 2 years that there have been face-to-face conferences. Most of the conferences were online. So this is good that one, the first conference that I'm attending is and it was very nice that face-to-face conversations and engagement. So, yeah, it's great to be here.
PIA is British Institute in Eastern Africa. This is one of the British, one of the 8 British national institutions. And here we deal with just supporting research in the humanities and social sciences. We have been here at the PAA 22, promoting the work that we do. Before we wrap up, you can have a chance to visit our desk, visit with us, talk to us. But also, go to our website, www.pia.ac.uk, and you will get all the information that's needed about us. Karibu, see you in Nairobi, see you online. I love you, Africa. Nakukunda Africa. Mwagala Africa. Africa. I love you, Africa. Mwagala Africa.
only that to Zanzibar's experience we get on the island to enjoy the Zanzibar and to offer food and services
and just to be at Zanzibar is amazing. It's a country that I think a lot of us have wanted to come to, and it's, yeah, it feels like I'm on holiday, work holiday, and it's just amazing. So it's really amazing to be here.
Thank you very much. That was a very quick brief. First award goes to a person who has done tremendously, has been doing research in Tanzania for over 30 years and has trained students to the level of PhD and continues to do that. And this goes to Professor Pamela Wilbur. Professors significantly trained 3 PhD, and they are now at the level of professors to do their work. And there are very few people who do research in particular country and give back to those particular countries. So as the local organizing committee, we are very thankful to Pamela for doing this fantastic work. The second award goes to people who have championed research in Tanzania and Zanzibar. And these are 3. The first one is Professor Mark Horton. Professor Mark Horton has championed the archaeology of Zanzibar and has done significant field work for the past 8 or so years. Professor Mark Horton, please. So if he is not here, somebody on behalf to come and collect. Okay, so make sure that you become a professor as well. Huh? Okay, then the other one in that category is Professor Felix Chami. Professor Felix Chami has done significant research in Zanzibar, including Professor Felix Chami, somebody to take it in. Yes. And the last one in that category is Professor Fidelis Masao. Fidelis Masao has championed archaeological research in Tanzania. Somebody on behalf, please. I know Professor Masao has got students here. Can one come and pick? But you were Fidelis Masao. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, Fatuma, come. I remember you traveled overnight to come supervise you in Uganda, so. Okay, excellent. And then we have people who did, I would say, they built the foundation, yeah? They built the foundation to make sure that the establishment of archaeology in Tanzania begins and goes on as we know it today. So there is this champion whom we will not forget. Probably they are the fathers of archaeology in Tanzania, fathers and mothers of archaeology in Tanzania. And so the first one is Professor Peter Schmidt. So Jackie is Professor Peter Schmidt, is a PhD student at the moment. Yeah. So the second one is Professor Paul Lane. And the third one is none but Professor Adria Lavande. She was here this afternoon. Okay, somebody maybe her student. Tonight. We give tonight, yeah? Okay, then we give tonight. And then there is two more locals who did a fantastic job in terms of training. They are not with us today, but they should be mentioned. Nganyirwa Karoma. Nganyirwa Karoma was seriously working with Peter Schmidt to make sure that everything goes on well. Go ahead, that's who should take this one? Any Tanzanian, please? And any Tanzanian to come and pick it. Okay, in the last award, Madam Chair, I remember us. The last award, Madam Chair, remembers. It goes to the students of archaeology in Tanzania who set the foundation and probably wouldn't be here if they didn't qualify to take the archaeology further. So the first one is Professor Bertram Mapunda. So there were 3 students and they all made it to the PhD, so to say, which is fantastic. Somebody to pick it, Philip Maligisu, please. You are his current PhD student, so you must come and pick it up. The next one is Professor Audax Mabura. Professor Audax Mabura. Do we have a student of Professor Audax Mabura here? Raymond, can you come and pick it on behalf? Raymond is from Uganda and he is pursuing master's degree at our institution. So Professor Mabura teaches him heritage, so to say. And the last one is Dr. Bernard Charles Sanane. Somebody speak to this for Professor Dr. Charles Sanane. Titus, do you want to come and pick it? I remember when we were studying in 2006 during our first year undergraduate. Dr. Sanane took us to the building of you. We were in the same classroom. Yes, so thank you, Madam President, and the members. Those are a few awards that we prepared, and they really mean nothing compared to the amount of the work that you did to make sure that the Archaeology of Tanzania goes on. So it wouldn't have been where we are, and probably wouldn't have been able to get the opportunity to host this conference if it wasn't the powers and the energies and the commitment of these people I have mentioned. So I thank you very much, and this is, I think, my last time to handle the mic. I hand it back to the chair for the next of the business. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yishu. That was excellent. Doctor, I think it's a very good idea to do what you've done. That was excellent. It's also a very good idea to have a review of what has happened during the week. I think I enjoyed that also very much, so that is really good. Now we are getting to the second last item on the agenda, which is elections. And the following...
We would want to do the position of the President, the position of the Vice President, the position of the Treasurer, and the position of the Secretary, then a representative from East Africa, then from Southern Africa, then from West Africa, and the students represented. So, can I ask if we have got names for the President? Yes. Dr. Chubaki? Any other? I was asking these people to go out so that. Yes. Any second? Any second? Yes, please, can you stand up? Any second?
I just had a question. Can you denominate the people just
Sorry?
Can you also have BP in country, in another town? That's what she's asking.
Okay. I have been told that the current chief, they like to be nominated again for the second term. So the Constitution doesn't say anything about that, so it may not be possible. So probably to continue and ask if there is any seconder for Dr. Chubaki. Okay, let's select this. Yes, I can see 1, 2, 3. I don't see any. Okay, Dr. Chubaki, you are the first nominee. No, it's not yet the President. Yes, we will be voting. So, Dr. Ishmbak, you go up. Okay, I will make sure that Dr. Ishmbak is gone out. So we have to, I don't know, can I have someone who drove me to our country? Okay, thank you. So, those who like Dr. Ishmbak, the next president, could you please raise your hands? So there are 42 according to our count. It looks like the whole house is raised their hands. Those who are saying no, we can't have Dr. Ishmbak. I don't see any hands.
Clarify, for example, people who are not paying that method, they should not vote. So I think at this point, if we learn the knowledge, it should be vote on vehicles.
Okay. So should we start the voting again? I can't hear you.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that because someone didn't put up their hand, it doesn't mean that they're going to be able
Okay.
It's only big government.
There is a hand.
It might be easier just to ask for objections and abstentions rather than trying to count.
Okay.
And maybe it's a good idea not to take pictures of when people are raising their hands against the wall.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for that. Could we have the names of your name and the names of the people who have seconded for our records? So I don't see any objections to Ishmbak. So okay, so somebody can call in Dr. Ishmbak. Yes. So, so Dr. Ishmbak, the House feels that you are going to be the next president. We then go to the position of the Vice President. Can we have nominations? Yes, please.
Yes, I nominate Dr. Ndugyagebo from South Africa.
He is nominating Dr. Ndugyagebo from South Africa. Dr. Ndugyagebo is not with us today. Yes.
May I ask if this has been consulted? Because the President himself is more than anyway. The World Archaeological Congress, and he might not present.
Has he been consulted, Dr. So, has he consented to the nomination? Yes, sir.
I would like to nominate Professor Mustafa Sall from Senegal, because usually we try to have somebody from English-speaking, somebody from French-speaking part of Africa among the President and the Vice President.
I totally agree. It was always a uniquely
Is he here?
Are you crazy? But just my question. My colleague Ramucha was the Vice President. Are you crazy again?
No.
Because I'm now the West African Association.
Well, I'm told that the congratulations also made for Dr. Ndugyagebo, and he is consented. So maybe what we can do is so we would perhaps ask the other doctor to go out of the room he is in.
Somebody said that the current vice
Yes.
has done very well. That should be.
Yes, but I'm actually with him here. Are you still? So he said he's done. Yes. He's no longer interested.
We need seconders.
Seconders, yes. Those who say seconders, Dr. Ndugyagebo. I don't see any. I don't see any hands. So, seconders to the French candidate, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thank you very much. So, can we have your names together with the person who nominated you for our records? Could we ask you please to go out of the room? Is he in? Yes. Could we ask you to go out of the room?
Okay.
Yes. Could you make it very fast, sir? So, the door is closed now. Can we raise our hands, those who want him to become the vice?
Say it again.
Yes. Yes, I'm now asking people to raise their hands, those who want him to be nominated. Yes. Please raise your hands so that he can count. Yeah, it looks like there's no point to count. The whole house is for him, for the vice president position. Could you please ask him to come back? I'm sure he might be here no matter you say. Any issue with the association? Can we have? Yes.
Can you please allow me to nominate Frida Kiroti?
Any seconders? Seconders? Yes, she has nominated Dr. Frida Kiroti for the position of the treasurer. So I'm now asking for seconders. So seconders, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconders. So please would you go out? I think we can go ahead. Those who wants Dr. Kiroti to be the treasurer. I didn't see the whole house. I don't see almost everyone raising the hands. Thank you very much. Can we ask you to come back? I don't think I need to announce anything here because the claim actually. So you are going to be the next best holder for this meeting. Any seconder? He's a he. If he is not he, okay. Dr. Trevor, they are asking if he has consented to become the secretary of the association. You don't have confirmation?
I can't see them to check them now, but yes. Very good accepted.
Okay. So can we go ahead and raise our hands for those who would like him to be the next secretary? Well, I can't pronounce his name.
He's from Algeria.
He is from Algeria. He is from Algeria.
very active in the affairs of so I think it's only fair that we give him this position because he has showed a lot of commitment. He was represented more than. So if you agree with me, I think
okay, I think our new treasurer has explained that. So shall we raise hands? Those who would like him to be the secretary of the association. Thank you. I see the whole house again. Thank you very much. So he's duly nominated the secretary of the association. Now we move to representatives of regions. And I'll begin with East Africa. Can we have nominations? Yes, madam.
I want to nominate Professor Charles from Uganda.
Professor Charles Elizabeth from Uganda.
Elizabeth Charles.
Professor Elizabeth Charles from Charles from the University of Uganda in Uganda. Any seconders? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconders. Please make sure that we have your names for our records purposes. Is he? She. Is she? And have you checked if she is consented to the position? Thank you very much. So shall I ask the House, those who would like to become the representative of East Africa to raise their hands? Thank you very much. I see the whole House again raising the hands for her. Congratulations. Then we go to West Africa.
I propose Dr. Aisha a very efficient, active woman in archaeology, and she's here.
Madam. Any second? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh. Thank you very much. I don't know whether to go ahead and ask you to go out because I can see that the whole house is raising to second that she becomes the representative in West Africa. Can you ask me to go out? Quickly. Those who would like to become the next West Africa representative, can we raise our hands? Yes, can we raise our hand, please? I think she's duly nominated. Can we ask her in? I hope she hasn't gone very far away. Thank you very much. We are duly dominated. West Africa represented. Then we go to Southern Africa. Then we have, I see 2 hands, maybe.
I would like to nominate Dr. Salma Maza.
So, any seconders? There are too many seconders. I will go out. Please can you?
Okay. So who is going to bring this? Those apostle from where? Can anyone volunteer? Yeah.
Okay, in the absence of the EC, who has decided to contest the election, now the new EC, and in terms of nomination, is the best to be nominated. Any other nomination to represent South Africa? No? Okay. And we see by hand those sides of Sam Makwaza to represent South Africa. All right, overwhelming support. Okay, so it's becoming. Zambia, all right, Zambia, that's the rep for South Africa. But the issue of this is still taking time. So to finalize the procedure, I think we can go ahead.
Thank you very much.
I did put when we had a meeting yesterday, thinking about the positions that are vacant. There are 2 positions that we didn't talk about. One of them is for North Africa, where we have Latif Asari. She has been very active and she's willing to stay on. So unless someone has a question or wants to nominate someone, without our contribution has been very, very good and we want continuation in the committee. So we need to put a name for our position. Yeah. And the other one is Professor Pauline, as the liaison person for SAFA. He's also been supporting us very much.
The next one, which is the last one, is the student representative. I can immediately see hands.
We want to put forward Cesar Mahumane from Mozambique for the student representative.
Sorry?
Cesar Mahumane from Mozambique.
Is he in?
He's not in, but he's consented and would like to.
Yes, consented. Okay. Any second? I can see lots of hands. Lots of hands. Could we go? Could we raise our hands, those who would like to be a student representative? Yes, I see quite a lot of hands. He is truly nominated as student representative of the association. Could I ask the newly elected individuals to come up and occupy chairs in front? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sam, for doing this so well. Now that we have new council members, I think they should come up so that we can finish. I would like now to recognize the presence of our guests here. We are this afternoon honored by the presence of Honorable Fatuma Hamis, who is the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism. And also Permanent Secretary, Professor Sendoyeka. Please welcome. I'd like to invite you to come to the front so that you can close the meeting.
Thank you all, but I will follow the protocols. Honorable Fatuma Hamis, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Tourism and Heritage. Honorable Professor Sendoyeka, Permanent Secretary, the Minister of Natural Resources and Tourism. Dr. Frida Njoroge, President, former President of the African Heritage Association, and myself, the President, replacing Dr. Frida, officials and heads of institutions from the National Government of Zanzibar, present here, distinguished researchers from across the world, members of academic staff and students from the universities across the world, members of the press who are present here, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Habari za jioni. May I use these few minutes to say a few words to our guest of honor in this closing ceremony, to talk about PAA and the activities that we have been doing for the past 1 week since we gathered here. Honorable guest of honor, this is the final day of our 7 days meeting or 1 week meeting that started on the 12th of August, on the 7th of August, and is ending today on the 12th of August. It was the 16th meeting of the Pan-African Archaeological Association, the association that started 75 years ago, and that has been holding meetings after every 4 years. So this meeting follows the previous one, which was held in Rabat in Morocco in 2018, and the members voted that Tanzania and Zanzibar in particular be the host of the 16th Congress. So members of the association from Tanzania formed a committee to make sure that everything is in order, and they managed to come up with a theme which meant to learn from the past, solve current and future problems. And the meeting began with recruitment of students. So we had about 10 PhD students from various countries in Africa, from Morocco, Senegal, Benin, South Africa, Tanzania, and many others who gathered here a week before the meeting to do the training on how to publish their research and the other academic congress. And a week after, participants came from across the world to meet here to present their research in different sessions. Honorable guest of honor, the meeting was initiated or inaugurated by His Excellency Hussein Ali Mwinyi, who was represented by the first Vice President, and that happened on the 9th of August 2022. Honorable guest of honor, members gathered in different sessions, in different rooms. So we had 5 rooms, and I'm here to report to you that a total of 403 papers were submitted, were presented in those 5 rooms. The ceremony that we invited you to postpone today, the meeting that we have requested you to come and close today, was a successful one by bringing together over 400 people who managed to present their papers and share their knowledge, either physically or online. So in addition to the papers that were presented physically, there are many others that were presented online. So it is the first ever Pan-African Congress to run both in person and virtually. This is a milestone, and we are very happy that we made it, but we can't avoid the challenges of technology, and that we are expecting it won't happen again in the future. So on those few remarks, guest of honor, I invite you to say a word, but if you find it necessary and important, which I think is, may I request you invite also the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism to say a word before you come to support our meeting. Madam, welcome.
Thank
you very much for this. Definitely, I think it would definitely make a lot more sense to give my counterpart and colleague, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism, Professor Said Doyle, we'd like to hear from you as well before we can round up the meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't see this coming when I was walking in the room. PS Tourism and Heritage, my sister Fatma, Mr. President, distinguished scientists, education, academics, students, ladies and gentlemen, Jambo Jambo. I'm not in the timetable to speak today, but I just want to say that I'm very happy to be here. I wish I could come and be with you. I still consider myself academic. I was in academics in January this year, and things started changing in my life, and now I'm in the government. But I consider myself an academic. I still teach. I still supervise dissertations. So when I come in this kind of setup, I feel like I'm sitting with my colleagues. I'm from computer science, branch of academics. And that makes me a little bit scientist, but also, you know, in IT, we kind of deal with zeros and ones, the very marginally kind of stuff, but eventually they kind of operate machines, etc. So this community is one of those communities that I personally really admire. I mean, the science behind, the science of the past. You help us to understand where we come from. I mean, the cradle of humankind, the science, the language, the culture, all those that were there before us. By understanding those, helps us to understand who we are and put in a better position to prepare for the future. So I just want to say that I truly respect your work. A setup like this, Mr. President, helps us to share the knowledge, which is fundamental for us in government, for policy setup, for me as an academic to expand our knowledge base. So I truly take this opportunity to thank you. So I've been wondering, maybe I should leave this with you. Of recent, there have been many sinkholes popping up. And
I don't know much about archaeology or soil sciences, so I cannot formally comment much on those, but they're just too perfect for me. Like the one that popped up a few days ago. It's wide and so perfect. Perfect in terms of the circumferences and the walls going down. So, do they fall in this community to answer those kind of questions? Well, we're asking the wrong group. But my point is, things that natural currencies, things that what are considered very old, things are considered unanswered, for example, how the pyramids made, etc., etc. But eventually, it's this community that normally ends up giving answers. So I look forward to participating in more of this, but for now, let me end up here and say thank you very much for your devotion on the field. And when you go home, please hope you go to the Memorial Tanzania. And please, may God be with you when you're journey home. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you so much, Professor Sedeka. On my side, I would, after recognizing the presence, I would also like to recognize the presence of Dr. Frida Mkirote, who is the President of Pan-African Archaeological Association. I'd also like to recognize the presence of the now President and the former President of the Association. I'd also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our Director of Museums and Antiquities, Mrs. Marian Mansa. Thank you so much for all the work that you have done alongside Professor Chumbaki in order to make this conference a success. And I would also like to acknowledge any other officials and heads of institutions from our government, distinguished researchers and participants, and all those who attended this conference, members of academic staff, students and sister universities, members of the press, invited guests, and ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It's definitely a pleasure for me as well to be here today to close this very interesting conference. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to attend from day one, but I was very much impressed in the few sessions that I was able to attend here today. Those in Zanzibar, but also the ones on climate change, which I really found very interesting, particularly given the fact that Zanzibar islands were surrounded by water, and of course climate change is inevitable. And this has given us insights on exactly what kind of solutions are available and what kind of partnerships that we can create so that we can have the correct information and data. And I believe this will highly contribute to the decisions that the government will be making in terms of investments and developments and so on and so forth. So thank you very much for all that insights. Big applause to all of you who have presented all the 403 papers. Wow, that's a lot. Congratulations, and if you can just take a moment, big applause to you all. Through the papers presented, the chosen Congress topic, learning from African past to manage local and global disasters, has really piqued our interest. The topic has gained importance because we're now aware of the ancient methods used in Africa to mitigate past disasters, and it is my hope that we'll be able to refine and then use these methods to manage the current local and global challenges. Distinguished researchers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is also my pleasure, again, to thank everyone who has attended this conference, especially those who have presented the papers, served as discussants, and all the other participants, but also I'd like to thank the members of the Global Organizing Committee for the wonderful job that they have done in making this Congress a reality. And we are now obviously here today closing peacefully and successfully, so thank you very much, Organizing Committee. The Organizing Committee team, Drs. Ichumbaki, Titus, Thomas, Mtavangu, Wasiri, Mkumbukwa, and Madam Sinyati from the University of Dar es Salaam, University of Dodoma, and the State University of Zanzibar in particular, for all the hard work that they have done to ensure that you all have a pleasant stay here in Zanzibar. And we'd like to, apologies in cases of any glitches that might have happened, but please do give us feedback, and we'll be really delighted to take it on board and also see how best we can improve in the near future. And finally, I'd like to thank the entire student volunteers who were in charge of everything and all the other logistics that had taken place. I was also particularly delighted to see that the excavations have brought some fruitful results. I think we've seen some, I think we were able to find some bodies. I don't know how far back they go, but I think this would mean that there's obviously continuous research that will be entailed to better find out exactly how far back they go, and if possible, if you can really find out who they were, that would also be very nice. I know the job of archaeologists is the hardest, it's among the hardest sectors, but I'm sure with all your expertise, we'll be able to trace that back. As previously stated by His Excellency, Honorable Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, who's our current President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, is opening speech that PAA has really shown Tanzania, and particularly Zanzibar, great respect for your decision to hold this Congress here in the country. It's a big honor for us, and it's been a delightful journey to organize this and to have you here. And therefore, we appreciate again your decision. And today, as we round up and mark the end of this conference, I believe it's really not the end. I believe that many partnerships are in the process of being formed. A lot of relationships have been built. And all these papers that have been presented here today has also opened doors for many other future collaborations. So we're really looking forward to that. Zanzibar and Tanzania in general is welcoming you all to come back again and to continue any other researches that you would like to proceed with from what you have seen during your stay with us. So I would like to end there and to thank you again for your time, and it's been a pleasure to host you. And I'm wishing you safe travels to those who are going back home, and welcome again. Karibuni tena Zanzibar, karibuni tena Tanzania.
Honorable Foreign Secretaries from the United Republic of Tanzania and Zanzibar, we welcome you to our closing dinner, which will be at Madinat Hotel beginning 7 a.m. We are hoping to have live music and excellent meals and exchange of ideas. Please, you're also welcome to join in celebrating the beauty and the food of Zanzibar. Asante sana na karibuni tena. Thank you very much.